Hi YouTube, my name is Winter and welcome to the channel. If you're watching this video, you're likely wanting some tips and tricks on how to deal with depression. Whether you are someone that knows someone that goes through depression, whether you are currently depressed yourself, or whether you are not currently depressed and you want to better inform yourself and make a system of tips and tricks, this video is going to be for you. First and foremost, I have dealt with mental health struggles for a majority of my life, and I am not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional. These are tips and tricks that I have learned and I adapted to use myself. What I will say is that I do acknowledge that when I am depressed, following some of my own tips and tricks can be difficult. But what I've learned to do is I write down in bullet points on a piece of paper the tips and tricks that I commonly use, and I reference that whenever I'm depressed. That has been the best way for me to remember, and it really does work for me. So, tip number 1, make sure I'm getting enough sleep. More often than not, when I am depressed, I am running on very little sleep or just not taking care of myself. So when this happens, I need to remind myself that I'm making sure I'm getting enough sleep. Number 2, I need to make sure I'm eating enough nutritious food. Sometimes when I'm depressed, I either overeat unhealthy foods or I don't eat at all, but it is important that I maintain a healthy diet during these episodes. One thing I've found that works for me is I will do nutrition shakes, like the drinks that you can buy at the store. Sometimes they're in like the pharmacy section, but they're all balanced, all in one meal that you just drink. When I'm depressed, sometimes thinking of healthier alternative food options isn't really realistic. So this is a really good strategy that I've learned to use, and it helps. Number 3, I make sure that I keep my environment as decluttered as possible when I'm not depressed. And when I'm depressed, I try at least to pick up one thing at a time or tackle it, at least try not making the situation worse. It's easy to spiral down a depressive path of just neglecting your home, but without having a home that is peaceful, it is hard to recover during a depressive episode. That is something that I've learned myself, so I try wholeheartedly to make routines out of this to avoid going down that spiral path, because once you go down that path, it is really hard to climb back up. So I try to maintain a clean home environment that resembles to me a healthy home environment. Number 4, when I am depressed, I listen to music. I lay in bed, close my eyes, put some headphones in, and just listen to music. It does wonders for me. It really does. Music helps slow down my mind. It helps me refocus, and it really is one of the most successful things for me, not only in depressive episodes, but when my mind is racing. 5, taking a short nap. Sometimes for me, a simple 30-minute nap, it won't necessarily get me out of a depressive episode, so to say, but it can reset my mind to have a new perspective or a fresh perspective when I wake up. And sometimes that's all I need to start working my way out of that depression. Number 7, exercise. Now, the ironic thing about suggesting this is ultimately that I understand that even moving around when you're heavily depressed is difficult. Moving around, doing activities. Sometimes my body feels so much weight. It feels so heavy. So physical activity sounds like the last thing I want to do. But what I've learned is that when I'm starting to feel early signs of depression, getting moving, getting out of the house often helps slow down the pace of that depression or eliminates it altogether. So I highly suggest considering adding exercise to your regimen in whatever way you can do it, whether it be a quick walk, whether it be going to the gym, whether it be doing a physical activity hobby. For me, one of the things that got me out and more physical and active was doing my photography. I would do some wildlife photography. Guess what? I'd have to go walk and find pathways to do that photography. I was motivated by my photography, and a secondary benefit of that was I was getting exercise, and then my mental health was improving. Lastly, and this one applies for me, have a support network. And this is often easier to build when you are not in a depressive episode. But for me, having a support network and informing that support network of how they can best assist me in depressive episodes ultimately yields really good results. And this can look different for so many people. It could be a therapist, it could be an online friend, it could be an in-person friend, it could be a spouse, a sibling, a parent, etc. There's so many different people it can be, but ultimately it does help. It does help to have someone there, and you can let them know in what ways they can help, whether it be checking in on you, whether it be bringing you some snacks, etc. You can discuss this ahead of time, but I know that it can be a great help, especially when you're feeling down. So those are some of the practical tips I've used. And if you're going through a depressive episode, just know that you're not alone. Just know that it does get better. And just know that no matter where you are in life, even if you feel at your lowest point, that eventually there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Even if in that moment you don't see it, eventually it will come. And sometimes it just takes a little patience. I sympathize with any of you going through depression. I've been at some of my lowest points ever, and I am very thankful to still be here to this day. And I'm thankful that I didn't give up the amount of times I wanted to, especially when I was younger in my teenage years and much less stable. So for all of you out there, just know that you're loved, you're cared about, even if it might not feel like it at this moment, and that you are worthy and that you deserve to be happy. So thank you all for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And if you'd like to see more content like this, and hopefully it was useful to at least one person, feel free to subscribe. My channel, I really want to put good information out there. The goal of my channel really is to help as many people as I can, or at least give different perspectives to at least one person. And my hope is that my videos can help someone. When I was growing up, YouTube was my escape, and watching certain YouTubers made me feel less lonely, and it made me overcome some of my sad times. So now that I'm older, I'd like to use this platform as a place to harbor some positivity. And with all that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I hope if you're going through something hard, it gets better.